Ah, bugger. Can you talk?
Hello, and welcome to another horror review. I'm joined once again by Dale as we continue along the filmography path of Sir Peter Jackson. In this episode, we're talking about Heavenly Creatures. Released in 1994, the film tells the story of two teenage girls who meet, forming an intense relationship whilst creating the fictional world of Barovnia in their minds. Love and bonding soon turns to tragedy as external factors come into play. The movie was made on a budget of $5 million and brought in $5.4 million at the box office. So technically, this is his first profitable movie. Are we going the right direction?
Hi.
Oh, sorry, I forgot you're not allowed to speak.
Yes.
You're not allowed to speak. I have to interrupt you at every opportunity when you try to talk. It's a proper thing to do.
I don't get it. Oh my goodness.
Oh, we were perfect. We were.
Hey, headphones.
No,
I'm taking my headphones off.
Is that what's doing it? Is it the headphones?
Always has to be something, right?
Oh, hang on, right. I broke my partner. Oh no, I broke my cast. Are we good? Yep, sweet.
Cool. Sorry, I muted you. How's it going?
We are grand. There's Chris on the chat. Glad you're joining us, mate. We're doing them all, so not everything's going to be horror. We're just going right along the filmography because why not? It's so cool. It's such an interesting rabbit hole. And this one, oh my, this is where things change. This is where I see it. Do you remember what our questions being the first three? How the hell did he get this? This is where it turns. So this is actually this is based on a true story. Do you want to tell the lovely folks about that?
Yes, it sure is. So this happened in 1954 down in Christchurch. So yeah, there was Pauline Parker and Juliet Hume, who ended up killing Pauline's mother, Honora. And they were arrested in 1959 for it. It's actually still talked about today. So, and what I found really interesting was that when they were both released 5 years later, they both, Sir Peter Jackson ended up making Heavenly Creatures and outed them. So their new identity.
Mm-hmm. They were given new identities. They both left New Zealand. One came over to England. Another went to... Where did one go? Did she go to Italy?
No, they... So Pauline ended up doing a degree in Auckland, then moving to England and doing a writing school. Juliet ended up... So funnily enough, they both ended up in Scotland. So Juliet actually passed away this year in April.
Yeah, I saw that bit.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, how they both ended up in Scotland after being released, if they actually met up again. That's something we'll never know, but
yeah, it's not, because of the time period, it's not as sensationalized. Like if it happened today, it'd be cameras and everything all. It'd actually it would just be an absolute shit show, to be honest. But they managed to actually... It's amazing that actually Pauline ended up working with children. Like, kind of shows how things that couldn't happen today. And they both became religious, and that, almost atoning, trying to atone and all that kind of stuff. They
were very young when it happened.
It's a flipping tragic story.
It is, isn't it?
Enough of those two. Those two I don't care about. But and I think Jackson's kind of... He's given how he feels about it by the way he's told this story. I don't know if you picked up on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like he
changed some details, some major details.
He did, but he also he also has made it very clear how he feels about it without preaching. I don't know if I'm picking up this the same way as you.
Yeah, I can see elements of that in there. Yeah, definitely. Interesting. Just yeah, he did. I think he changed some stuff just to make it a little bit more palatable for the viewing. But he did keep really quite authentic, and oh god, it's so exciting! Just the emergence of the two worlds together was just
yes, oh yeah, Chris. According to the troll on the internet, you're trying to silence her on purpose. Everyone's read that. Yeah, we got a lovely last stream we did. I don't know if you kind of noticed we had a wee bit of problem with connection issues. Hence why we had to do jiggery and pokery like we do now, because StreamYard, get their shit together. You know, our friends in New Zealand are entitled as well, you know, flipping get it sorted out. Whatever the hell you're doing over there, fix it.
I know they're always fixing up our Wi-Fi and everything. It's just like, oh my god, it's useless. But this platform is quite cool. Skype works.
Yeah, that's it.
But
So
we did have a connection problem, so that troll should just pull her head in. I didn't feel like I was being ambushed by three men. Thank you very much. There was a delay in the communication, so yeah, pull your head in.
Also, in case you have noticed, Dale's not shy. So if Dale has a problem, she'll bloody tell you.
Yeah, I will.
I don't.
Liberated New Zealand woman.
Yeah, for flip's sake, do you think I'm going to speak to some meek, pointless person? Flip's sake, come on.
I might shove you some really crap movies, but that's about it.
You won't be the first. You won't be the last.
No.
Some people even call themselves my friend and do it to me. You know what I mean?
Yes, would that be Cameron by any chance?
Yeah, and Chris has done it as well. I fucking had to watch Maximum Overdrive again. Fucking oh god, that yeah, check out our review. That's so much fun.
Oh, hilarious! Gosh. Yeah, well, yeah. This case was. I think Peter Jackson really portrayed it really well. Even though he did change some details, but I think there was an intention behind that.
And that's what I'm saying. This is not a stupid man. He knows, you know what I mean? We'll see the level of detail, so he's not going to leave things out. But I think he's done it because it was so easy to go, oh yeah, poor working class girl. Oh, such a drudgery, hard life. Blah blah blah. No wonder she was enamored. And that could be the narrative. And he's went, nah, that's not right. And I think that's why he's changed. Like her home, he wanted to represent him. You can tell me if you agree or not. Because what I was seeing at the start was, I need to put their flipping names up, and I've watched this movie just like half an hour before coming on. Pauline, Pauline's parents, right? They're loving. She's in a good family. They're interested in her. She's even got her own flipping room in the shit. You know what I mean? She's got like her own place.
Yes, that's right. She's in the sleep out.
So considering, like that would make a perfect guest room, but she's got it to get her space. Considering how big the family is and everything else, she's indulged. She's doing well at school. Yeah, they brought across that. Yeah, she had to go into hospital for a while. It made her feel isolated, but at the same time, she's not a victim. People are smiling, talking to her. Yes. The only thing she can't do is PE.
Yeah, that's right.
That's, you know what I mean? And in fact, I'm surprised there's only one person on the bench, because when I went to school, flipping the Biff bench, all the sick notes, like the PE was nearly full.
I used to do that too.
I was a big chunky lad, right? I've always been a big chunky lad, but I bloody did sports. That was a mad thing. I was flipping active, like even through teen years and stuff. I never understood people. The only time I sat on the bench during PE was when I had a rugby match. So if our team was playing, you didn't do PE because you know what I mean. made sense. You're trying to win a match, so you're not going to go and knacker yourself. I did it once. I was stupid because I was trying to get into sports day. I was trying to win the swimming event. So I went into the pool one day, and then I went to the rugby pitch afternoon. I'm just like flipping. I learned never to do it again, so I just accepted sitting on the bench those times. But yeah, that's the only thing. But and I think Jackson's done this delivery. Sorry, we tangent there, but he's set up. She's got a nice home life. Both parents love her. Both parents are together. You know what I mean? They're a family unit.
Yeah.
And I think he's done that deliberately, so the change in her is more shocking than the other one.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I should have. Kate Winslet's character.
Oh, Juliet.
Juliet, yeah, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
You know me and names. Hang on, I'm gonna.
So
Juliet. Pauline.
Yeah.
Because my brain's going already.
I ended up with 8 pages of research notes, and you can't even remember their names.
I'm terrible with names. I can remember weird random details, right? But you introduced me to a bunch of people. I've forgotten. You introduced me to 4 people. I've forgotten 3 of them, like within 5 minutes. That's why I don't. That's why I don't follow sports teams, because see the thought of remembering everybody's names, that just fills me with dread. That's why I don't follow celebrities, because I don't remember names. Have you ever seen me talk about movies and going, yeah, that actor, he was really good, he was in that other thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't sink in. Names are terrible.
Okay. You're forgiven.
Oh, we've got Gabby's in and I Want to Believe. So some of your crew's in the chat saying hello.
Awesome. She ended up watching it a couple of weeks ago, actually, this movie, so she might have some stuff in there to say.
Oh, that's cool. This is the what I think's amazing about this. It's a madness of Peter Jackson. Like, he's still got it. He doesn't hide that. But this, he gives a purpose. And it works. And I'm like, you absolute bloody genius.
Oh, God. It's just his meticulous, details to even, we started off with Henry with the fish, singing to the fish, I mean, that's a Peter Jackson. If ever I saw it.
It works. It bloody works.
He's so great at characterizations, he really, really develops his characters, and, he puts them into places, and he makes sure that they've got that right facial expressions. And I mean, the facial expressions were really, really amazing during this. I mean, especially when the girls started changing, and but we'll get to that later. But the thing I did notice about what he did with the film was he made Pauline's family life, even though mum and dad seem like really good people and everything, but they've got a lot of lodgers staying there, and a lot of lodgers in the house. So yeah, it's quite a busy household.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying, even in the busy household, she had her own space. So they even give her the respect of making sure she had her own space, because that would have been more valuable. That little out bedroom would have been more valuable to a lodger. They would have paid more for that.
Yeah, exactly.
So the fact that they gave that space in the movie, because in reality, they didn't run a guest house. He wasn't a fish manager. They're both grounds people. They worked for a museum, wasn't it? No. It wasn't a private household. It was National Park. He was a gardener. She was a housekeeper.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they worked for the same place.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
And like I said, I think he's done that deliberately because he wanted to show the homeliness.
I think that's why he did it.
Because if they were in a big house as the keepers, there wouldn't have been any difference between their life and Juliet's.
Yeah, we see the upper class with the middle class family, whereas if, say, Juliet's family, because they were housekeepers, if Juliet's family weren't portrayed in that upper class sort of echelon. I don't think it would have just been another poor family dynamics, and it wouldn't have had the impact.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have had the impact.
So he's made changes, but he's made it to tell the story, and I like the way that he's making a point without beating you over the head with it.
The subtext is really strong in this movie, eh?
He's disgusted by this crime. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And you can get his actual personal disgust through this movie. And this is somebody with a sick, depraved, dark sense of humor that we all love.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm saying, the difference, why horror fans know the difference between fantasy and reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's telling the story of an actual occurrence, and through his storytelling, he's showing his disgust at the crime, which is done so brilliantly.
It is.
And you don't have to... Also, okay, so here's a question. If you didn't know this was based on a true story, say you missed the end credits, or even the beginning credits, because it does tell you, but it gives you that opening. But if you didn't know this was based on a true story, what would you think of the movie?
I still actually would have really enjoyed it because of the intricate details and all the stuff that is actually in there. I just, I think you can watch it definitely without knowing it's a true crime.
All right. Yeah, because there's enough. It would sort of take you away their relationship. You're sort of going, what are these two girls at? But then again, he's making you, because in reality, you're like, what the hell are these two? What the hell is going on in their heads that made them go down this path? No way.
Yeah. Well, we know it's got to do with abandonment issues, obviously.
Yeah. Well, definitely with Juliet.
But, yeah. Oh God, I was just going to say something. Damn, never mind.
Sorry, did I cut you off again? Sorry.
No, you didn't. It just went out of my head. Oh no. I think even without it being we knowing it's a true crime or anything, I think what people would have gravitated towards would have been the parallels between the fourth world and the reality. So he's showing the emergence of the two together and the chaos it's caused, and what happens in the future, because of them having to be separated, and that I think people would have got the gist of the story anyway, and I think they would have enjoyed it.
Yep, he did very well with the setup, because we're seeing these old time video reels, and it's showing. I love the way New Zealanders use received pronunciation, and it's like the whole I don't want to say it because the BBC has fallen so hard. That used to be like the standard, if you remember. Now they've just it's not a good standard now. They've fallen from grace massively. But the whole idea of received pronunciation, everyone being proper, and God, those school scenes were just like, I just remember some of my teachers, and I'm like, they were just phasing out corporal punishment when I was at school.
Yeah, me too.
So I think I was one of the last kids to get caned and slippered before they stopped it.
Yeah. I was never caned. I was good in two shoes.
No, the thing is though, it became apparent that some of the people went into teaching was so they could beat kids. Like that was their thing.
Yeah, I know.
And he actually does well with the school scenes here, that they're the sort of teachers. So there's not it's a very militant environment. If you have issues or problems, you don't talk to a teacher.
No. No. I went to school exactly like that. My college was exactly like that. So I recognised it straight away, the headmistress and the, all that sort of, we had nuns running our classes at school.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. You couldn't talk to them about anything. They would have been gutted.
God, you've ended up in the bottom of a well.
Yeah.
Flips like in Northern Ireland, the historical abuse, well, actually, I think it's in the Republic as well, but the historical abuse inquiry is still going on, and they're still unearthing gnarly stuff, and you're like, oh, God. Ugh.
Yep, that's right.
Glad I was the other side of the fence. I think if I was over that side, I'd have been screwed up beyond recognition. As bad enough for the teachers. What our teachers would do, just our neighborhoods were so deprived. Like, it was a case of they were deciding the level of deprivation and prioritizing cases, but they would have just rung social workers and kids would have disappeared.
Yes. Shocking, eh?
Oh, it was bad times.
Yeah.
But this just sets that scene. So if you're a troubled teenager, you have no one to talk to, and if you've issues at home, or if you're trying to figure something out, or you've got abandonment issues or whatever, you have nobody to talk to.
No.
There's no internet back then.
They were coming out of World War II as well, around that period. So,
I don't think people understand the impact that war had.
No.
Like, everyone's now, and people trying to say things didn't happen and all, and you're like, no, that was the war that messed everybody up. And don't forget, it happened so close after World War One.
Yeah.
Like, and that messed people up, and there's still people running around with shell shock. It's not PTSD, but there's people running about still with shell shock from World War One. Some of them went straight into World War Two. Others were like home while the Blitz and all happened, and it was the entire Commonwealth was involved. You know what I mean? So nobody got left out. That's why it was called the World War. And then the whole social, political, and once stuff started coming out about what actually went on, it messed with people's heads. Like, you don't face that.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think New Zealand over here, we were just coming to grips with everything, So yeah, I guess it set up a whole different attitude here. I guess so. At the time of these murders, of the murder of Honora, that was unheard of. Basically, it was unheard of. A child in what do they call it, matricide. It was a very rare occurrence over here. Nowadays, it's not, but back then it was. So.
Yep, you do. So in Belfast City Centre, there's actually a part of the cenotaph for New Zealand soldiers or service people. So it's actually, you know what I mean, we're all, you know what I mean, it doesn't matter how far apart. You know what I mean?
We were all,
it was all shared. It's a massive shared trauma, And I think that's partly why people close down emotionally.
Yeah, possibly.
That's because that's normally the reaction. Part of the reaction to trauma is you shut down.
Yeah, you're right. That could explain a lot of things, absent parents, delinquent children, parents too busy working, trying to
latchkey kids. That was the thing of the 80s.
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
But yeah, so we've got all that, and he sets it up with a few what do you call it, archive videos.
Yeah.
He manages to tell that entire story in about 3 minutes that we've just rambled about. He manages to give that whole scene, and also showing New Zealand in a positive light as well. So he's basically going, this isn't a crime-ridden hole. This is actually a nice country, a nice place.
Yeah.
This is what people are like. This isn't normal.
Yeah, that's right.
Brilliant. Can't be nothing but impressed with his storytelling ability.
Yeah. Oh, he's amazing. He is. Yep. I mean, even the first scene. I mean, my goodness, there's a Peter Jackson entry if ever I saw one. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it just cuts straight to the end of the movie. So basically, what happens at the end? The two girls, you've got them running and blood and mark, and like even the camera shot is it could have been out of bad taste or dead alive.
Yep.
Easily.
Yep. Absolutely. There was a lot of running in the film, wasn't there? Did you notice that?
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of running.
And he proves that you can do running. You know, why horror movies is all slow paced.
Oh God, trip, fall over, and get back up. Yeah.
Look what he's able to do, even in 1993. He's able to show full on running, full sprinting through trees and bushes.
Amazing. It was so well done, and it wasn't. You know, he did it. He did it with an intention, and you know, not just because it looked good, but because he could do it, and he did it. You know, that's yeah, I found it really fascinating that he used that for half the movie. I'd say a lot of running. Yeah,
but yeah. And also, he's done. You know, I mean, there's people try to do running scenes, and I think there was a movie I reviewed where they tried it, and the cameras actually broke because they couldn't keep up. You know, he's actually managed to do this
back in 1994, right?
Yep.
Amazing. Yeah.
No one could touch us, man. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Not that I idolize people, but hey, he's pretty cool.
You let somebody's work speak for themselves. That's the thing. You can put people up on a pedestal and they don't deserve it, but you let someone's work speak for themselves, and we know this. He's got a massive sense of humor. You know, he isn't like a Christopher Nolan who's up his own backside. You know, he isn't a George R. Martin type. He's he's somebody you could go and have a beer with, for example. You know, and enjoy his company and have a chit chat and a laugh.
Yeah. Down to earth. Lovely guy. Yeah.
So now he's taking on a serious. This is his first serious, movie.
Yes.
And you're getting it. Like he's just sprinkling the magic. What was it Chris said on it? This is 5 years away from Lord of the Rings being filmed. Are we seeing anything yet? Well, we're starting to see the fact that he can take serious subject matter.
Yes. Definite change from the previous ones. Yeah, absolutely. And I think he did it justice as well, really. He didn't, like you said, he kept it all really contained. And I think that was brilliant that he did that, how he managed to do that, keep it quite contained. Just everything, it's like everything he does has a purpose. Just even the facial expressions that we see later on in the film.
Oh, there's so much characterization in this.
Yeah. And he doesn't end it with characterization. He does it with everything else, the plot and the story, and he tied it all together really nicely.
And that's the thing. We're not going to pick apart the plot here because the plot is real life. It's so when we're asking. So I'm one of the questions that I put up here was the initial bonding between the two girls would have made more sense if they were ostracized. Like if they were outcasts, both of them. But I think Peter Jackson's deliberately shown that they weren't outcasts. So basically what he's saying subtly is there's no excuse.
That's right.
He has given you his opinion without beating you over the head with it. It's so brilliantly done. This is how you storytell. This is if you've got an opinion on something. This is how you do it.
Yeah.
Not this nonsense today.
Yeah. I know, amazing, eh? Yeah. I think if he had them as ostracized, bullied, I just don't think it would have worked.
Yeah, because it was given, he was giving them reason, but basically what he's telling you by making this movie is, I do not condone what they've done. I've looked at this, and we all know his attention to detail, so he's looked into this. He's wanted to make this movie because I think it's something. Now, I haven't seen any interviews. That's something I'll probably do afterwards, to be honest, to see what he actually thought about it. But I can almost guarantee he was shocked by the crime. He'd probably say that he was shocked by the crime. He was disgusted by it, and probably that he saw no reason why it happened.
Yeah, you're right.
That's just a guess from his storytelling. That's what he's telling me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think what he's doing is letting us know that, in their delusional world, they ended up, well, disconnecting from reality. That was not an excuse, but I think that was the truth of the matter, was they were delusional. They weren't ostracized. They didn't grow up in unhealthy households,
Juliet did.
And the movie she did. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, is there a difference of opinion?
I don't know much about Juliet, like the actual facts around Juliet's family life. I haven't dug into the history of it, but from what I see in the movie, she's basically a spoiled rotten. But then,
She's not loved. She's a trophy. She's a child because you have to have a child. That's
yeah. She was in hospital from 5 years on till 10. I mean, basically her parents dumped her in a hospital.
At that age as well.
At that age, those are very important years.
Yeah, exactly. Gabby said Juliet was neglected. Yep, that was actually that's a form of child abuse. But
yep, absolutely. I mean, she had everything she could possibly want, but she didn't have her parents' love. She didn't have their attention, and that's why she built up this fourth world. Was an escapism from her real life. It doesn't really matter what her parents' job was or occupation or where they live. The fact is that they neglected her. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's why Jackson set up Pauline's. He was very careful and very meticulous about how he set up Pauline. Like we see it with the first scene with the records.
Yeah.
And this isn't the first. They're showing as well. This isn't the first time that her father will come in joking with her. They're in each other's lives. They laugh and they joke. They play with each other. Even later on when she was feeling despondent, it's like, do you want to come and help me build a birdhouse? And Honor's like, you do still love go building stuff for your dad. So you're getting all these messages that Pauline had a good family life. And then we're seeing the contrast between the two.
Yeah.
And I think what he's trying to say, let me know if you agree or not, but he's as confused as I am watching this movie, going, how did Pauline end up enamored? Now, I can understand somebody comes in, brimming with confidence. We all gravitate towards confidence and competence and things like that. That's how, be impressed by people. But how did Pauline become so enamored with Juliet? Because I don't see it. I don't see it in the movie. I don't see the reasons why.
I thought about it, and I actually, the school scenes where Pauline, okay, it looks like she's got friends. It looks like people know. No, she doesn't have friends. It looks like people like her. But, however, you could tell that she was really awkward. Peter Jackson made her really awkward in the school scene before Juliet enters. Did you notice that? She
reminded me of Lydia out of Beetlejuice, to be honest.
Right.
I was getting those sort of vibes.
Yes, right. Yeah, that dark brooding sort of. Yeah, I think that's what's happened is, she's going to school, going home, going to school, going home, and then finally, wow, here's this girl who walks in, and she's full of herself. She's arrogant. We can see her arrogance immediately. And I think maybe she had homosexual tendencies, perhaps, and I think she loved the naughtiness of Juliet, standing up for herself and painting, in the art class. I think
because she
really
was a good student, top marks.
Yep.
We got it. Okay, what was it? Oh, got an A. We'll get that whole scene, and it's not like, okay, tell me right. It was all her parents are invested in her, not demanding of her.
Yeah,
and she's doing well. People nod and smile at her. She just doesn't know how to do it. But there's nothing like it. Like, would you consider Juliet to be a likable character?
No.
Do you see any endearing qualities?
Oh God, no. So I think maybe that is what attracted Pauline to Juliet, was the fact that she was different and she did stand up for herself. She was well traveled. I don't know if that's true, but in the movie she was well traveled. You know, she was just a bright light. That's yeah.
I think this is a bit that's, or maybe, see, I don't think he's done this. I think he's done this deliberately to make you scratch your head and go, how did this happen? Because if he wanted to show Pauline living in drudgery, he could have easily done that.
Yeah.
So yes, and it's this whole thing, oh, you're working class, you must be, blah, blah. No, you can be working class used to be something to be proud of.
Yeah.
People,
Oh God. Yeah.
it was there were known, terraced houses were little palaces. People scrubbed their front step. I remember, like back home, people like tradesmen, they wouldn't go to the middle class. Like say carpet salesman, they wouldn't go to middle class houses because the middle class houses would have had the cheapest carpet because they spent their money on the expensive schools, the music lessons, the dinner parties, right?
Yep.
But if they wanted to sell expensive carpet, for example, they went to working class houses because that's the ones that, oh, I'm getting the best for this. Funeral directors, and known quite a few funeral directors in my life. The people that pay the most for funerals are working class people.
Right.
Middle class and upper middle class, they will skimp out as much as possible because they want the inheritance.
Yeah.
They will buy the cheapest coffin, the shortest service. You know what I mean? They right down to the bare bones. It's working class people that actually spend on things like that because it's important. It's not about the money. It's about personal pride. And this has been chipped away at recently. It's don't want to get into that, but I'm just, it used to be working class didn't mean bad, didn't mean you're terrible, just meant, yeah, you had less money, but there was a culture, you're proud.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think he's deliberately set her up this way.
Yeah.
To show, because I think the media made a whole thing about her being working class and her being middle class.
Yep. Right.
By the way, outside of the Commonwealth, you probably don't get this conversation because we all have a rigid class system. It's
we do. Yeah.
So what you might think in other parts of the world, the class system is really a massive thing.
Yeah, in the Commonwealth countries, definitely.
And that was the media probably made a big thing out there, and he's just saying, no, that doesn't mean. So he's giving his opinions as well on the working class without beating you over the head, telling you what he thinks.
Yep, absolutely.
He's going, yeah, working class isn't bad. You can have family, you can be proud, you can have stability, you can, because she's doing very well, so you can succeed. He's telling you this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he's also showing that, it doesn't matter where you live, who you are, where you come from, you could potentially turn into a murderer.
Everyone's one instance away, just one moment.
Yeah, that's right.
Or anything. It's habitual criminals I don't have time for because anyone can make one mistake, but if somebody keeps doing it again and again, well, guess what? You've chosen that lifestyle. Don't make excuses.
Yeah, that's right. It's a lifestyle. Their patterns.
Yeah. Another thing was, and like I said, this isn't a plot. I think you need to understand the context of this conversation because it's a wee bit different than what we normally do. Considering Juliet's history with her parents and the events, everything that happened, would it not have been more logical for Hume's mother to be targeted? So why was it Pauline's?
I think Pauline, because, well, when the girls started getting into the delusional world of the fourth world, I think it was Pauline's mum who actually noticed it first off, didn't she?
No, it was Juliet's father in this. The professor, he was the
Yeah.
one brought the
However,
concerns. Are you talking about the change in character?
yeah, I'm talking about,
Sorry.
yeah. No, that's okay. But what was the question?
So logically, if this was a
Oh, of course,
normal
right.
movie and we're following a plot
She was a
and looking at the
gossip girl.
lifestyle choices, it would have been more sense for Hume's mother,
To be right.
the one to be the target, because she is despicable. She is an absolute scumbag.
Yep. Yep.
The fact that
Yeah.
was on
But
her.
she wasn't really trying to stop the girls from having a friendship as such. It was more Pauline's mum, who was starting to get little bit concerned as well. So you know, because they did say quite a few times in the movie that she hated her mum. She hated her mum because she wanted to keep the girls apart, you know, at one stage. And I think, you know, like she said, in order for them to be together or in their fourth world, mum has to die. So uh, they targeted her maybe because she was more accessible. She was, I don't know, but just the way it
And I think
played out.
that's the thing. This is probably what's got people scratching their heads in real life. And that's why I'm saying we're not picking
She
apart a
didn't
movie, and that's
deserve
it's a,
it.
you know what I mean. It's
There was
if
a lot of fighting and a lot of arguing between mum and daughter, but
yeah,
that happens in real life, you know, and that daughter doesn't usually go on to kill the mother. So there's a lot of different things going on in the background that with the purpose behind her being the target.
and that's what I mean. Jackson himself's trying to tell, I think he's trying to lead you down this path, and I think
Yes.
that's the crucial thing that you've brought up is this break from reality.
Yeah.
That's where it's all got
They broke.
twisted.
Yeah.
Um,
And you see the emergence of the two worlds coming together in the background. You can see Bolovnia,
yeah,
and then you can see the real world. You know, it's just
the sex
spectacular.
scene with God, the pedo, because what age was that guy, John?
God, what
He
a
was a
creeper!
nonce.
He must be in his 20s,
What
right?
a creep.
Oh, what an asshole! Yeah, and then he becomes Nicholas. I mean, oh my
So
God.
she is that far removed from reality that the fact is a bloke's appeared in her bedroom, got into bed with her, and she's just completely like not even realizing.
Not there. Yeah. She's dissociated from herself. She's yeah, but then, you know, in the next scene she's like blah 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 blah, telling him all about the fourth world and everything. And
Yeah, but she's not really telling him, is she? She's just
she's
because
just
we've seen her do
monologuing.
this to herself.
Yeah, yeah. The actual sex scene was, I could have done without that, but I can see why Peter Jackson did it, to show the disconnect between realities.
Yeah, but the first scene obviously in the bedroom, like she's
Yep,
already got that. You see the start of that complete that disconnect there as it is.
yep, absolutely.
Um, and she
That's when,
already told Juliet that he fancied her.
yep, that's
Um,
right. And how did Juliet react, eh? Oh my
oh,
goodness.
but then
That would have
that's
more abandonment, right?
mhm.
Mm. So yeah, no.
Juliet's a
I
more straightforward character, I think.
had it.
Juliet's a more straightforward character. She
Yeah,
is
she is.
You know, what I mean, she is the understandable character.
Yeah.
It's Pauline's the one that I'm confused by, and I think the movie is also confused by Pauline and trying to explain Pauline.
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree with that or not.
Yep. I saw glimpses of that as well, and I myself was wondering some questions. You know, how did she get to be like that? You know, it just she just seemed so normal, I guess, except for that brooding sadness she had. She just seemed like a normal person, a 14-year-old girl. You
Yeah,
know,
just being
she's
a basically one of the first goth chicks, just that sort of thing
Yes.
way about her. But there seemed to be no harm in her. She still got joy out of life, when she put on
Yeah.
records and danced and
Yes.
joked with her parents and that. And we already knew they had a loving relationship, and the parents made time for them. Both parents. Her sister, she's got banter with her sister.
Yep.
Kids in school say hiya. So the know her. She's not like, the only time she's off to the side is PE.
PA. Yeah.
And there's a legitimate reason for it, because we see her leg, and she had the condition where basically something like a form of crepitus, the calcium in the bones solidifies and does weird stuff.
Yeah. That's right.
So it wasn't, she was, like I said, she wasn't trying to get out of PE. She wasn't shamed for it.
No, everyone was just normal with her, right? It
Yeah.
was just, yeah.
I think this is honestly, I could almost say that this affected Jackson that way when he ran into the story. It's like, why did she do it?
Yeah.
Why honor her? And he's telling that story because I'm in the same mind. I'm going, why?
Yeah.
Juliet's easy to understand. Juliet's laid out on the table. You know what I mean? That's straightforward.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'd like to ask him. I'd really like to ask him, what was going on, well, what his thinking was behind it, but obviously we can't. But
Gabby says she thinks it was their wealth that drew it, but I don't know. I don't think it was that.
No.
It wasn't that, it's not that easy. I think this is a genuine mystery, and I think the movie is actually telling us we don't know. We're trying to figure it out, but we don't know.
Yeah.
This is not right.
Yeah.
This should not have happened. There's no logical reason.
No.
For
then I come full circle back just to delusion.
And they were refused the insanity plea, by the way. I don't know if you read that. Yeah, they were refused the insanity plea. So,
well, no, they weren't insane. Well,
yeah. So here's the question. Here's the thing we've talked about before. When does mental health issues develop into pathology? Where's that line in the psychosis?
That's right, because they basically were mentally ill.
Oh, not so much monetary, but wealth with life and experience that Juliet had.
Oh, right.
Right. Oh, so, right. So was Pauline feeling as if she wasn't getting to live life because of her time in hospital? Does she feel like she's missing out?
Yeah, I think that plays a little bit into it as well. And it didn't seem like, I mean, in the movie, it seemed like Mum and Dad weren't that wealthy, which is why they had to have lodges.
Oh yeah, and you saw with the Christmas present, the thing that. But at the same time, though, it wasn't as if. That's what the movie. It's not, like I said. If they had her living in drudgery and misery, yes. And I think this is, once again, that's why I think it's done deliberately. It's to make you question it.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't. I've grown up in.
We walk away from the movie with more questions than without as to why, what the fuck happened,
And I think that's the purpose. I think that's what the movie's actually trying to do, is to make. When I my family didn't grow up with much money, and it was always hard. And plus, I was one of those rare people where both my parents were married, and I went to school. Everyone else was broken home, so basically, there's two families buying their kids. They financed them. So you had two sets of families, and the way they bought their kids' affection was with money. So there's people, just cash flying about the place, and I could never understand it, and always found, and then, so because this is making me think about my life. This is weird. It's not normally when these movies make me go, hang on a minute, how can I draw parallels with my own upbringing?
Yep.
So we didn't do foreign holidays because Mum didn't like to travel. She got stressed out too much. But we had a holiday home.
Nice. Yep.
So
Oh.
that's what we did. We went to this, wee coastal town, place called Malal, went there. And that's where we spent the entire summer.
Wow.
Which actually was a good and a bad thing because it meant growing up in Belfast during the 80s, if I had maybe stayed all summer, who knows where I would have ended up. Bad times, bad place.
Yeah.
But it also made me a target because then I became a bit different because I never mixed with people in my neighborhood.
Right.
So I spent all summers and like spring holidays. Now we went to the holiday home, and it's funny because with people from all it wasn't as if stately home or anything. That was flipping what do you call it, caravan? Got a nice caravan too. It was all decked out and stuff, really cool. And the people were the same, but other kids would maybe go for 2 weeks and disappear again and back, and you'd always new people. So I was always like ostracized, slightly off. I wasn't like the rest.
Yeah.
And I had different experiences growing up.
Yep.
So I can understand that, maybe feeling a bit, I want to fit in.
Yeah, that's true.
I was happy, I didn't hate my parents over it because actually I was happy when we went away and stuff, and stupid things, believe it or not, stupid things like picking blackberries and raspberries and, making jam. There was always the amusements. We went down to the sea crab fishing and, sometimes somebody takes us out in the boat and stuff,
Yep. Yeah.
So I can understand, there's kids that always had money, flashing the cash and stuff, and they went in the holidays to Spain and stuff, and they boasted about it. And part of me was a bit jealous because I wanted to do it, but also I wasn't feeling neglected either.
Right. Yeah.
Because we just did it differently.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, we didn't take trips overseas or anything. We went camping, on the beaches and things like that for holidays. And nowadays, people want to fly overseas and all that sort of stuff, and they're well traveled or whatever. But there are families who can't afford to do that sort of thing. But that was okay.
But that's all about the experience, and that's what I'm saying. It's not about wealth, money, and yes, just the Gabby's point is she's seeing experiences, she's maybe feeling left out. But I also think this movie's not trying to show that. The movie's trying to make you go, nah, why has she done that? Why has she done this?
Yeah, you're right.
The movie's not trying to explain. The movie's trying to make you ask, why the hell did they do this? This is not just wrong, but illogical, completely illogical.
Totally. Yep.
Yeah, and that's that seems to be the main. You have obviously notes. That's my first half of the questions of this movie is it makes no sense.
No, it doesn't, does it?
I think that adds to the tragedy.
Murder is senseless. At the end of the day, it doesn't really make sense. There might be a reason why someone's done it, but it doesn't make sense how someone could choose to do something like that, and I think it's just showcasing that it doesn't matter how old you are or what class of family you come from, once you're in that delusional state, all sorts of bad shit can happen, and you see it in this movie, and he showcases it really well, I think, particularly with the fourth world and Mario Lanza and God turning superstars into saints and the altar. That was out of it.
I would say there's an almost because there was a few hints thrown at this. There's an almost abusive relationship between Juliet and Pauline.
Do you think so?
Yeah, because that scene at the altar was the first instance. Because when Pauline tried to add her contribution, who was or someone else,
That's right. Orson Welles.
And she reacted so violently, and the loving character changed like that.
Yeah, it did.
When she mentioned the guy having a crush on her, you saw it. When else? There's another scene. So anytime, and I think you mentioned the abandonment issues, because
Bologna. There was a scene there where she was running after Deborah through Bologna, their makeup world, and she's so I think what we've seen there, particularly in that scene, is Pauline running after Deborah. She's Gina, and then there's Deborah. So Juliet's Deborah, and she's running around looking for Deborah, chasing her through that scene. It's like she's a little lapdog. She seemed like a little lapdog. She's fallen in love with this person who obviously loves her a little bit, but I don't think she loves her as much as Pauline loved Juliet.
Would Juliet be a classic case of a narcissist?
That's exactly what she is. She's a narcissist, but that's due to a lot of factors, really, due to absent parents, neglect, being stuck in a hospital for 5 years. Could you imagine being stuck in a hospital for 5 years as a 5-year-old? She's missed out 5 whole years of living, and then she gets TB. And then she ends up in hospital again and then her parents fuck off overseas and leave her. I mean, who the hell does that? Her parents are nuts.
They're not nice people. That's what I'm saying. If I had been Juliet's mother.
Yes.
And I think actually, do you know what? Now. I think Jackson's telling us that too. If it was going to be anybody, that's who it should have been.
That's what it should have
been. Why Honora did not deserve that in any shape or form, and even like we'll jump, we'll go to, we'll get to the last scene, but even that whole lead up, Jackson's telling us how he feels about the whole thing.
Yeah,
and I have to agree with him, to be honest. Like he's not being edgy, or he's not trying to be smart. He's actually, I didn't expect to feel something. Honestly, I've got a sick sense of humor. I'm not fazed by many things.
Nope.
I was not, and I've watched this twice, like within 2 days. And even the second time, it's still shocking. And I don't mean, gruesome. I mean, psychologically shocking movie.
Yeah. Psychologically shocking, absolutely. I mean, I had so many questions. There's so many questions running through my head. I actually took a few hours to unpack it, disconnect from the movie. Even Kate Winslet, this was her first movie. And look how far she's gone now. I mean, she's won so many awards and all that for her acting, but even she was traumatized from doing this. I mean, it was all filmed on location where the crimes actually happened. It was all filmed at the site of the crimes. And it actually traumatized her to the point where she got really depressed when she returned home to England. She just said she couldn't get out of character. She couldn't break the character. She couldn't leave it behind. So that just goes to show how powerful the movie was, even for the actors. And I found that fascinating.
And it comes across, that's the thing. This comes across on screen.
Yeah, it does. Method acting, I think this might have been a lot of method acting happening here.
Just true character acting, doing research, getting into the zone. Peter Jackson, this is... we'll get the future movies, but he can take the top talent and reduce them down to actually what he wants.
Yep.
I can't wait to talk about that, because there's some watching a lot of Christopher Lee interviews lately for something to keep popping up. Absolutely fascinating guy, but yeah, this is what Jackson does. He gets the best out of the cast, he has a story to tell, and I can't wait to do Lovely Bones, because that's a fantastic one as well.
Yeah.
That's what he does, and you have to, I think we've talked about this at the start, you have to believe in somebody's vision.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you can get people to believe in your vision and bring them on board, you've got to, people will go the extra mile for you.
Yep. And you can see they went the extra mile. Yep. I keep coming back to the facial expressions, but they're so important in the film. Just that hatred that was in their eyes. I mean, how do you do that as an actor? To have that sense of portraying it as this immense hatred for Pauline's mum, and it's just like she's got this unrealistic attraction to Juliet's dad, Herbert.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, Henry, Hilda and Henry. That's right. Yeah. So she's got this. What I couldn't understand was, why does she love Juliet's dad but not her own dad?
Yeah. Do you know what he's done? I just thought about this right now. There's 2 singing scenes in this.
Yes. The balcony scene and the fish scene.
No. The fish scene and the car scene.
Oh, right. Yes.
Now, look at the contrast between those 2. And I think he's done that. I just realized he's done that deliberately to show.
Wow.
Look at Pauline singing. Like, she's joking with her dad. He's coming in, joking. Her mother's laughing. Lodgers are going, what the hell's, a lodger's coming through going, these people are all cracked, but he's laughing as well. He's, that good vibe. They're in the car. And they're singing, how much is that doggy in the window?
Yep.
And the 3 kids in the back, and the parents are just like, yeah, okay. Oof, oof. Where if that had been Pauline's parents, they'd have been on board with a toy dog, yep. And everyone would have been laughing. There's the complete contrast between the 2 families, and it's showing the disconnect, because how can Pauline look at this and think that's better than her own family?
Shit. It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense.
It's not meant that you're meant to go, this makes no sense. That's what I love about it. It's actually Jackson's going, classic. This crime makes no sense.
Yep.
I can't make sense of this crime. I'm going to show a movie to tell you I can make no sense of this.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. So brilliantly clever. Oh, so brilliantly clever. So yes.
If you could lend me some of that cleverness, I think I'd go do all right in life. Could you bottle some out up and send it over here, mate? Honestly.
Oh, yeah, please. Put some in my letterbox when you're driving past next time. But no, you're right. The contrast in the fathers, I just clicked as well. Yep, absolutely. Yep. So it makes no sense. Yeah. And then you have Hilda, Juliet's mum, who's having a full-on affair. Oh, it just I don't know.
Is that her first affair? Because I think I put that in the notes. Yeah. I don't think what do you call him?
Bill,
yes. I don't think that was the first client.
No, I don't think so either. I found it very bizarre she moved him into the house, but then again, that's another story altogether. But Jackson made her out to be really provocative. Did you notice that? The movie star, Greta Garbo sort of...
about her and...
Yeah, absolutely. So that would not have worked if they showed their proper occupations. No. So, yeah. So, no, I don't think it was her first extramarital affair. No.
No, and then she found somebody obviously rich enough.
Yep.
That take over the finances. You know, this is a calculating woman.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the fact that Henry lost his job and had to
I
move
didn't
over
get
to
what that was about. I think I need a
I
bit
don't
more context for that, because that meeting they had, I didn't understand it.
know, but what we did see is a little bit of him stressing out throughout the movie. You could tell he was somewhere else in his head,
Mm-hmm.
and I think where he was trying to sort out finances and work and that, but we didn't get to see that.
I
But
think
what we
we
got,
needed. That's the only thing I would complain about this. I think we need a wee
yeah,
bit more context with that,
I think so too.
because we had him as the absent-minded professor. You know, harmless.
Yeah,
Absent-minded, like when he pulled the sandwiches out of his pocket, like completely dissociated that he had them there.
yeah, for days.
Yeah, but I think what we needed was a bit more context of what he was like. Was he just disassociated? But then we're getting the fact that he was coming to a head in a rector's position in a university, which just would be like most of them jobs you just sleep through. So
Yeah,
how can you be that controversial that you're getting fired from a university? We got none of that about him.
no, we didn't. It didn't make sense. No,
So that's the
we did
only bit.
elaborate. He needed to elaborate on that a bit more. Since he was such an important role in the movie, you know, it kind of made no sense that he was getting stuck at a meeting, getting told he either retires or he's going to get fired. I mean, or transferred to England. Yeah, that was a bit baffling.
Yeah.
Mm,
We needed more context what was going on there. And then it might have explained why he was so distant.
yeah,
Because it
yeah,
seems like somebody like him wouldn't have got Hillary if that's the way he was all the time.
yeah,
So he had to have
yeah,
had a bit of charm about him and something. So the way we went along, like this movie mainly focuses on Pauline, because I think this is the confusing tragedy of this is her story.
yep,
But
absolutely.
I think he needed a bit more context to explain, because when he did notice them, and he's the one that raised the concerns about the daughters, when
Yes,
he sort of had that moment of, you know, back in the real world, oh, this is going on under my nose and I haven't noticed. And
yeah,
then he took action, and he was, you know, he wasn't just the dithering, absent-minded professor that could have had orgies in front of him, not noticed there's something going on, but we didn't get that about him, which is only bit disappointed him with this movie.
yeah, yeah. The characterization of him was it sort of lacked, didn't it?
Yeah.
It lacked some substance to it. We just, yeah, like I said, you walk away thinking, what's going on? Yeah, what was the intention behind that? And I think if he was aiming for subtext, it's like, well, I think we missed the point.
Yeah.
I missed it anyway.
Because his
So
whole point as well was to move to be somewhere for warm climates for his daughter.
yes,
So, but we didn't get the loving father. We didn't get his. He's. If I had a bit more context of his motivations and why he ended up butting heads, we would have understood more about him.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
We know his wife. His wife's absolute trash.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
that's let out playing, and we know that Juliet, because I think because of the time and era, her father was trying to be the provider.
yeah.
I'd relying on his wife to be the nurturing mother, but the wife has doesn't have a nurturing bone in her body. She's completely
No. She's
100% self-centered.
absolutely self-centered and fake. She was fake loving on her daughter. Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing is using Barovnia. We'll get to see Jackson's special effects. Like only Jackson
Yes.
can use his bring his special effects in a movie like this, which normally wouldn't have. If this was done by anybody else, it would just been like a few cameras, shakes, and lenses, and you know, screaming stuff. But he actually uses his talents and like even from the plasticine models. we're seeing his level of detail. Like, I could have just been like squished together or something I would have made, nothing, but he's actually put that level of detail, and the bloody sandcastle scene, that blew me away.
Didn't it? I had to watch it again. I had to rewind it because I was just like, "How? How did he do that?" I mean, obviously he's done something, but to have the camera traveling through the castle, it was just amazing. It was, that was definitely Peter Jackson, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just meticulous. Yeah.
Yeah, and the girls looking through the windows
Yeah.
and all, and then even right up to the last minute with the wee brother piles into it.
Yep.
It's so well done. And just his
I mean,
level.
you couldn't think of even doing something like that, would you?
No.
That's his imagination, right? God.
Yes, but once again,
Yeah.
you're not getting taken out of the story. You're getting drawn more into it because he's shown. I think by putting the details into the world of Brovnia, he's shown how it's possible to get disassociated from reality, and it obviously first pops up when Juliet's parents are going to go away, and she just completely has a breakdown. The fact that they didn't even notice that
No.
they think it's okay just to leave a child for 5 years. And what happened with the wee brother? That's another confusing thing. The wee brother.
Yep.
He's a completely different character.
Yeah, he's sort of not there, is he? He's there in some scenes, and then where is he the rest of the time? Yeah, I don't know.
So did this all? Obviously there's an age gap between them.
Yeah, well, when we're first introduced to him, he is getting chased by Juliet through the forest.
Yeah, they're dressed up and they're playing games.
I got a glimpse of her narcissistic personality when she was running through the forest after him. I actually thought that she was actually going to hurt him. So yeah, I don't know where he fits into all of this, but yeah,
he doesn't seem to be. He seems to be more jolly, and he seems to be more well adjusted than just a normal kid.
Maybe that's why he was in it, perhaps, to show the differences between the siblings. You could be right, because I was just like, well, why is he even in the movie? Because he didn't really play much of a role, if you know what I mean.
But he did, believe it or not, in the short time he was there, because like I said, he was
there to show something.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was the opposite. Yeah. Why isn't he feeling abandoned? Why isn't he feeling unloved? Why aren't they both going together? Our parents hate us.
Yeah. That obviously.
Why didn't he break down? There was no mention of what was happening to him.
That was completely raised differently, I would say.
Was he traveling back with him, and she was being left behind?
Yeah. See what was happening. Yeah, that's right. Where was he going? Why was she getting left behind, or why was she getting sent to South Africa? Where was he going to be going? Was he going to? Yeah. So,
which, if he was, this would be a completely different story.
Yeah. Well, it would have added something different, and it would have taken away from the girls if there was, if his character was more embellished or whatever, or more thought out. I think it might have interfered. Not sure.
Again, I'm just thinking about this like right now as we're talking. That's why there's no notes or anything about it. I'm just realizing we don't get any mention of, was he staying with the mother? Was he going to go with them to England, and was only her being left behind? Because if they were both then she wouldn't be on her own. She'd be with her brother, and those two should then technically be close because they're going through the same experience. Not when she was 5, because he wasn't born yet. Obviously, they show an age gap.
Yep.
But if the behavior continued, surely he would be affected in the same way.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not sure if that was a bit of a plot fail.
Or is that deliberate? Again, I don't think Peter Jackson. I don't know if I'm putting him
I
on
don't.
too high a pedestal. He is still,
Yeah.
he's still human. He makes mistakes, but is that left there to make you think, or
I
did he
think
just
so.
not have time to embellish the wee brother? Same as the father. If they'd embellished the father a bit, we'd get a bit more context about where he was coming from.
Yeah, I think it might have been the writing of it. Maybe he had to choose which characters are going to stick out the most, and maybe they were actual side characters, but we actually wanted them to be more because we wanted to know more information about it. And yes, we are left wondering what the heck happened to the son. Where was he going? Why did he disappear from the scene? And I don't know. It's just like there had to be an intention behind it, right? Because he just, unless he did let the plot fall, which I can't imagine him doing.
Exactly, you can't imagine when you think of the level of detail he puts in, and the fact that he's telling a story this way. He's not doing things by accident.
No, and this is his biggest budget to boot. So far from what we've been reviewing, this is his biggest budget. Yeah, so I guess, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't gel, but then again, there's got to be a reason for it. So, that's a confusing one.
I only just thought about now as we've delved into this. That's what I mean, and that's every time you think about this movie, you just get more questions, and I think that's purposeful because this crime makes no sense.
No, it doesn't at all. It's horrifying.
It's a truly senseless crime.
It is. It's sad because, you should be able to argue and fight with your parents and not have your children turn around and kill you, just because, but then I'm coming back to the delusion, basically, that they had created for themselves.
You need to interview PJ to pick his brain. Yeah, well, actually, spoiler, guess what happens at the end of this series? We're sitting down going, oi, you, answer some questions. Jackson, here, now.
Yeah, we want you for 3 hours so that we can just pick your brain.
I'm just this would be the movie so far I'd ask him about the most.
Yeah, out of all of them so far, definitely. Yep, I've got questions. I've got a question. How the hell did he get away with a teenage sex scene? Oh my God.
And by the way, there's boobies in this.
Yeah.
So but here's a question, Chris. The boobies are just underwater, so does that count towards our KPIs? Are we still 30%? If you can see them, but they're just slightly covered with water? Or is that only like half a booby episode? Let us know. Because obviously this channel has to maintain 30% of the movies every month press showage, because that's just I can't remember what that started. Was that Summer Party Massacre started that? Just became a thing. I just go with it.
Oh my goodness.
Because as you know, gratuitous nudity, violence, and sex is all about horror movies, and we get it in this too.
No. Yeah.
I don't know what age these girls were when they did this.
So Pauline was 14.
No, I mean not the actual girl. I mean, sorry, the actresses.
It was how old were they? I think they were 15 and 16. 16 years old, I think. When I can't remember.
It's right in the knuckle then because
it's bordering, but then again, I'm not too sure whether or not there was a regulation then. Back
in the
90s? The 50s.
No, the 90s.
Oh, right.
I'm talking about
Right.
nudity in movies. You have to be 18. You know, that's across the board.
It's right on the border, on the cusp of when they changed our censorship. So, not sure how he got away with it, but he must have just got in just before it changed again. So, because I think our censorship changed in 1993, so he might have been making this in 1993, right on the cusp of it changing from, well, that scene. I don't know if you'd be able to get away with that nowadays.
Well,
Probably
no,
not.
I mean, no way to do now. They're flipping chop movies
Yeah,
up and do that. But
who wants to teenagers? You
once
don't want
again,
to.
there's no I know making a joke about it, but there's no, I mean, there's no like titillation in this. It's not
It's
for
not.
sexual gratification. It's actually
No,
fits.
no. What I was going to say was it was really artistically delivered, which is it wasn't graphic. This is it had a purpose, and that's when Nicholas came into the story, right? When she ran away, went to John's place, and then he became Nicholas.
Was it the first? Yeah, was it the first bath scene? Yeah, it was the first bath scene. So we got it. But also, it's demonstrating because she's sitting up, covering herself, and Juliet's flaunting it basically, and it's showing the difference in the two characters. So the scenes actually make sense.
They do.
But it's just funny because I just thought I'd throw that in that we got, in case we're getting too serious, we need a wee bit of levity because it's.
Did Chris answer you?
No, not yet. Probably get it later. It'd be funny, but at least we're keeping up to our standards.
Yeah.
Benjamin's.
Why on earth are all these movies you're watching got sex scenes in it? Hey,
it's horror.
That's not my fault. Ask Colin.
You've picked some of them too. Don't give me.
I know. I'm bad.
You shoved some tallywhackle in my face in Midsummer.
Yeah, that was yeah.
That weird flipping mother grandmother flipping sex scene was like, oh, what the hell?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, thanks for that.
It was really artistically delivered.
Yeah, well, I was
I'll never watch it again.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Fun times. That's why I love the horror genre so much because it's so much.
Yeah. There's a lot to unpack, eh?
Yep.
There's a lot going on in horror movies, guys.
But yeah, this this hasn't been done to go way. It all fits because there's a layer of sexuality to this, but I don't think it's actual sexuality. I think it's emotional intimacy, and you know why you can mistake emotional intimacy with physical.
Yep.
Because there's a lack, especially in Juliet's case. You can understand why. There's, it does lead where actually in real life they denied anything like that happened anyway. Apparently they're interviewed, but still, it fits with this movie because that was the whole thing. It's interesting because they even bring in the scene of homosexuality, and the big close up of the guy. Was it the professor? The doctor. The doctor. Yeah. It's considered a mental illness, and just the way he was talking, we're making great strides, and
to cure homosexuality. What a doofus head! Oh my!
But that's
goodness.
how and people would scream now and say that should be banned. But how can you say, okay, ban it, and then people don't see it in context?
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yep. If you want to deliver something, authentic, well, you have to be authentic. So you don't just swipe it over because the normies don't want to hear that homosexuality was termed as a mental illness back in the 50s. Well, it was, dude.
Yeah,
so
and people got locked up, institutionalized it happened. You have to, you know what I mean? You have to see it to know
Yep.
not to go back there.
That's right.
The problem is the flipping Rainbow Mafia today are kind of making their case for them the way they get on.
Yeah.
Maybe it is. It's like, calm down, folks. We've already seen this, and that's why the 90s were. That's weird considering the 90s a golden period in history when there's that much crap music and TV about. But in terms of people actually accepting each other and trying to get along, yeah, it was the best era.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now we're like devolving back into flipping stupidity. Like we're going back into the 50s because it's just gonna. The more this antagonism goes, the more it's going to end up that way. And
yeah, you're right.
if
There's that possibility.
someone has to step back. Who's pushing at the moment? You know what I mean?
Who's going to back down first? That's right.
You just have to stop attacking.
Yeah, just get on, people. Just get along.
Yeah, stop attacking and antagonizing because this could come back.
It could potentially,
and you'll have a lot of people with no sympathy.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the minute you burn people out, you lose, and keep poking and poking and poking. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
But we'll get the Stark background. It's funny because there's this whole Stark background, and the way Jackson just casually has it. This is the way things are. But it's not, you know what I mean? This is the way life was, but still he managed to inject, because normally people do portrayals of the 50s, it's always very dour and unhappy.
Yeah.
Yet we're seeing here that that there was a happiness, there was a unity, there was families, there was love.
Yeah.
And even against this super strict, people accepted like the schools.
Yeah.
Super strict, but then when you come back in your home life, you kind of put that away. There was a separation.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. Yep. And that's clear in the movie too.
Mm-hmm. And then when she goes and gets a job, when Juliet effectively throws her future away.
Pauline.
Sorry, Pauline. Sorry.
When she goes to work. Yes, she decides to leave school and go to work. And in that era, that was exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you leave school at 14, you go to work and you get married at 16, have children and build a house and go to work. That's basically.
And once again, there's that stark, workplace environment. But that's why home lives, I think, were more vibrant and colourful.
Yep, absolutely.
And there was that whole attitude.
Yeah, yeah. We saw that in the movie too. I mean, he had all those flash cars there, and the trams again, and the vintage cars and all that, and he could have portrayed it as a dreary suburban area, but it was all full of colour and light, and everyone was dressed immaculately, and except for the bum that walked past at the cinema who happened to be Peter Jackson, doing the cameo appearance. I don't know why he likes to play himself as a beggar. I guess
he just has a laugh. I just don't think he has a. I don't think he's up. It doesn't come across as somebody who's up his own backside. Like you see his interviews and all, he doesn't care. So to him, he's just having a bit of a laugh.
Yeah, absolutely. So
doesn't take himself too seriously. So that's respect to the guy.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're trying to make Pauline out to be a victim in this subtly because of Juliet's influence. Because even from her arrival, Juliet's a force of disruption. A destructive force as well. Because the scene even when Juliet visited Pauline's family and had dinner. Yes. She had to take over the entire conversation, had to be center.
She did. And Herbert and Pauline's parents looked quite shocked, I think, by their daughter's new friend. Seemed a bit bizarre with her stories and, oh, I'm going to Hollywood and I'm going to be a big famous blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you can see the difference in the daughters sitting there at that table. Pauline's like, oh, you're so, oh, puppy love sort of thing. And there's Juliet, like, just taking over the whole house, just taking over the whole scene. And yeah, you can see that she's very up herself, snobby.
Oh yeah,
narcissistic.
I don't think this is maybe betrayed. I'm starting to wonder now. Was Juliet the force? Because she was obviously the dominant one. I think Gabby said that as well.
Yeah.
Did Juliet want to destroy her family? Did Juliet see something? Because I don't think we got an indicate. Like we didn't. You know, they got the intense jealousy when John arrived in the scene and she mentioned him, and
yeah. I never thought
did
of it.
Juliet see this family and decided that she had to destroy it?
I didn't even think about that.
I'm only thinking about this now because I've been scratching my head about the nature and what he's. Has this what the build-up's been and why it ended up being the focus on Pauline's mother, Honora? Was Juliet doing it to destroy the thing that she could never have?
Well, while Juliet was in hospital with TB, that's when Pauline got the idea that her mother needed to die. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember it in the diary, but then again, Honora came with Pauline to visit Juliet.
Yeah.
When her own parents buggered off.
That's when she got concerned, when the girls hugged and reunited, remember?
Mm-hmm.
When she took her to go and see Juliet at the hospital, they actually looked at her with disgust, like, what are you doing? And you're intruding on our reunion, and I think that's when we really got to see that, oh God, that these two are capable of something dangerous. The looks on their faces just said it all. Yeah, it's hard to say. Just
is this
so I'm not sure if it was in.
I'm just trying to. I think I'm maybe just trying to rationalize. I can't help it.
I think you are, because I'm like trying to as well. But it's like I don't see Juliet had any intentions to do that, but we don't know because she did have a real narcissistic streak through her. So that possibility could be there.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. I think I'm just trying to, because the crime makes no sense. And the fact that the way we're shown here, the wrong mother, for want of a better term, was targeted.
Yep.
And the fact that Pauline was the one that had to complete, had no reason to follow the path she did. Juliet did. Pauline didn't.
No.
And is that maybe what he's trying to tell us? That when he's looked into this, is like Pauline had no reason to end up in this, crazy vicious cycle. There was no reason for that to happen.
But she still did.
And it ended up Honor paid the price.
Yeah. Which
should have been a teenage infatuation. And as we always say, creativity is good. So how does writing a series of stories, and exercising your imagination turn into this?
Yeah, it's a tough one, but I think what Peter Jackson's trying to do is push the narrative of a lesbian relationship. Come on, be frank. I think that's basically what it is, because their friendship supersedes a normal friendship,
But it wasn't. It was more than that.
Yeah, that's right.
Like I said, what I'm getting from it is emotional connection intermixed with physical. It's not just you're hot, because we see Pauline
No.
has sex with a bloke, and it's not that. It's an emotional thing more than it's not just. It'd be easy to explain it. If that's what I'm trying to say. Saying they're lesbians would be an easy way to explain this.
But I don't think he wanted to just. Yep, carry on. Sorry.
Sorry, I'm just trying to, like I said, there's more going on here. There's more layers that just that simple explanation is not enough.
That's right. I know. Oh, God, it was just so much to unpack, really. Because then you got to think about, well, 14, 15-year-old girls during that, they're just finishing up puberty and all that sort of physiological shit going on. And I guess that's, yeah, maybe that's what he's showing is a little bit of that, how a friendship can tip into something that isn't quite right, sort of.
And I don't believe, because, oh, by the way, that thing about them, that was debunked, apparently. Them not being allowed to, the condition of their release.
Yep.
Because actually the Secretary of Justice said that was debunked.
Yeah.
It wasn't a condition. So they had every opportunity to meet up.
Yeah.
The fact that they didn't, as far as we're aware, they live separate lives.
Yeah.
The fact that they didn't get into other relationships, as far as I'm aware.
Was it a phase? Was it just a normal phase?
I don't think. I think it's deeper. That's what I mean. I don't want to be flippant about it.
I think it started off as a phase. Then perhaps then we see the scene at the beach where Juliet finds out her mum and dad are going to separate, and she runs off. And then finally, Pauline gets to see the fourth world.
Yeah, that's when it comes to life.
It comes to life right then and there, and I think that's when their shared delusion turned into. I guess he might be saying, delusion. There's a fine line between delusion, mental illness, psychopathy. There's all that. There's so much to put in there that he just. I guess he was just trying to showcase that, delusional sort of mind can end up being quite dangerous if it's not. And I could see they had no help. There was no counselling. There was no any of that. Nothing.
And we'll see this with the background. That's portrayed that.
Yeah.
And the lesbian, that was the times it was considered, but they were still, even up to that, they were still allowed to be together. It wasn't like they were pulled apart. So it's not that simple. No. And I think it would be disingenuous just to write it off like that, and because at the end of the day, we're talking about something like tragic, that came out of this. There was no logical reason for this to happen. It was not necessary.
No.
Under any circumstances. They were able to spend weeks apart and write to each other. You can still have an emotional, even back, pen pals were a thing.
Yeah.
There was 14, 5-6 years out of someone, especially somebody who's traveled about. Something went wrong there, and something got twisted, and only they know what. I think that's the message, is that we can't make sense of this.
Yeah, but Juliet was a huge influence over Pauline.
Oh, without a doubt, that was very evident.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, but this actual up to the final scenes, like the murder of Honor, there was an almost ritualistic aspect to it. The way that they were going out for a walk, they were going to the tea house.
I think it started back in the bedroom when they were getting the weapon ready.
Oh yes, the brick was.
They were trying to. Did you hear them trying to justify what they were about to do? Oh no, we have to because she's an obstacle. We have to because she's this and she's that, and so I think it started there in the room with them just trying to justify what they were about to do. And then when we get to the tea house scene, It's almost like it's going to be Honora's last supper before her execution.
Very, you know what I mean? And we've seen in the land of Barovnia, there's executions. It's all, you know what I mean? It's all part of it.
Yep.
It's the condemned last meal being marched out to the courtyard.
Right.
That was all hinted through the.
To me, what I thought was, when you brought up ritualistic, it was like that's exactly what it was. Yeah. Yeah. And then you could see, you know, when they're going for that walk, I mean, the horrendous look on Pauline's face.
Pure
As
evil.
she kept,
Hatred.
pure. Just she'd lost it. They'd both lost the plot. They're both gone. They're not in reality anymore. They're living as Deborah and Gina. They're no longer Pauline and Juliet.
I think that's and that's why I'm saying you can't just write this off and put it down. Oh, there were lesbians in Deny because it's not. It's
oh no,
that was only one aspect, and it was just one form of expression between something deeper. There's so much going on here. We could watch this movie again and do another review and take another 2 hours to flipping and try to. We could actually probably read the case notes, I think, and do another 2 hour flipping session on this. It's you know what I mean. I think it's a mind.
This should be a 2-parter. This movie's just so
the movie, big. the real life crime event, you know, and go through it.
Yeah, it was a wacky way to kill her, man. Oh,
flipping stockings were built well back in the day.
Well, I actually did a little bit of research on that.
Oh, you at the back garden?
Yeah. Well, back then, hey, they had reinforced nylon stockings. Don't have those nowadays. So that's how. And because it's a true story, you know, that's how she died, with a brick in the stocking. You know, they dropped something, so they dropped the
gem or jewel.
Yeah, which was also, as you saw, was in the Fourth World as well. You know, that gem was there on the ground, so it's like, oh, that's where we get the murder scene coming. You know, their distraction technique. Yeah. That was horrifying. God.
Do we know how accurate this depiction was the true crime? That's what we're kind of trying to unpack. There's a few changes to make a narrative point.
Yep.
But pretty much this is what happened.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, even if you research it, you'll see that most of it's absolutely true, except just a little bit of detail here that
but was changed with purpose because it's intentional to make you question, because this would be too easy to just be like, nobody could write this today because it'd just be shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nobody could do this today. They'd trivialize it.
Yep. They would make it into an agenda, right?
Yeah.
There was no agenda behind it. That was just deliver it in a really authentic way.
And this is true horror, because true horror makes no sense. True horror is like, why did this happen? And you don't know.
Yeah, and you never do know,
And you can't rationalize it.
No. I mean, the girls were, one of them, I think it was Pauline, was interviewed a few times. She did some magazine stuff, interviews afterwards, and there was really no explanation as to why she did why they did what they did. It was just plainly Mum was in the way,
perceivably, but as it's demonstrated it wasn't. It wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
Wonder if the family talked to them. I wouldn't imagine Pauline's family talking to her.
No, I think back then it was like, just don't talk about it and it'll go away. That was a different era, I guess. I'd say parents were a lot more absent, if you know what I mean, because they both had to work, and parents had to work really hard, and menial jobs sometimes, and work late, and that's kids could be alone at home at 7 years
Well, it
of
was
age.
always the older siblings looked after. That's why it was large families, because the older siblings basically
That's
raised the
right.
younger ones. That was
Exactly right. Did you have a big family? I mean,
no, it was just two of us. Flipping.
Yeah.
God,
But
it's weird. My sister used to freak out. She started. If I always wanted my parents to go out now and again, out to the pub or something, and my sister would she'd start running up the street crying and stuff and making a freaking scene. You're like, what the hell? There's not even 2 years between us, so it's not like it was like massive. I used to hate her for that. And then flipping one time, I was changing. Mum and Dad went out for a bit, and I was changing the fish tank. So all the fish come out in the bowls, but getting out to clean. One of my mates called me and I went around to his house for a minute. Came back, she had let all her mates in, and the flipping fish. They were messing with the fish, and they're all gone. And these were cool. These weren't goldfish. These were like cold water fish, like expensive ones. Yeah, I don't know. We don't get along. I was still annoyed by it. I was like, there's no need.
Oh, God.
And it was born out of nowhere, yeah. But that's what I mean. That was family life, but everyone was in the same boat, so it wasn't as if it was unnatural. But he was showing here that they still made time.
Yeah.
So he was debunking that as well. You know what I mean? That's it. It would be too easy to paint this as a black and white. Oh, this is why this happened.
Yeah.
There's no reason. And it seems to be, then I'm going to, I say I'm not a massive fan of true crime, but the way the story is told, it's got to me. And got me wondering.
Yeah, it does do that, doesn't it? Yeah. That's what I like about true crime, though, because it is horrifying. It is horror. It is most rawest. And this case really did unsettle the country from what I researched.
Well, talking of agenda, this was actually the basis for the Mazengard report, which was a big thing, talking about the lowering of morals and God, what was the word? Delinquency, delinquency, and and that started the whole thing. I don't know what level of impact it had. I know it was in your area, wasn't it?
It was in my area, actually. I found out. So it's a place called Albs. It's like a milkshake bar or something. It's a part of our history here in the Hut, and I didn't actually realise it until I looked into it. And just some of the ridiculousness about it. It's just, there was controversy as to whether or not you teach your children about sex at a particular age or not, because if you talk to them about it, then it means that they're going to want to do it, and if you don't talk to them about it, then they're not educated. So the government decided to take contraception away from anyone under the age of 16. So there were 15-year-olds running around having babies. It's like, that's a hard one. I'd have to look more into it if I really, really wanted to dive into it. But it did. This case did prompt it, but there's also another case that did too. A 15-year-old girl had gone missing, and then she ran to the police and told them what was happening with what did they call themselves? The milk bar cowboys. There was a gang.
Mm-hmm.
It was milk bar cowboys. I think it was modeled off the American. Do you think it's?
Never heard of it, so this is due to me.
Yeah. So it's like, over in America, how they used to hang around at milk bars and things like that with milkshakes, and there's girls running around on roller skates delivering stuff up to the windows.
All right,
just
right.
Like, what do you call it? Grease, like Grease.
Oh, yes,
so
right.
I think that's basically what was happening. So people were meeting at underages underagers were meeting at this bar in the hut, and then they were going over to the riverbank and having sexual encounters and orgies and all sorts of things. It just flared up over here. Family planning got involved. They were trying to say, if your child is of this age and is having sexual relations, then you can't have a benefit. And it was like, oh my God. Yeah, it was quite a big thing. So I guess it goes to show what was happening in that era, coming out of the war, what effect that had. I mean, there was the Great Depression and
what always happens when there's no money, there's no prospects, people do sex and drugs. Deprived there is, people shag, people drink and take drugs because there's nothing else to do. There's nothing to motivate them. I don't know if you ever heard of the study on rats, the cocaine rats.
No.
Right. So basically, what the did was, if you have rats in a cage, and there's nothing, no stimuli, so it's just an empty cage, and you give them one drinking water thing, just clear, and one with cocaine in it, they'll go always to the water with cocaine. However, if you repeat the experiment, but the cage is filled with stimuli, so foraging and natural things, and you still put the same water bottles up, the rats won't go to the one with cocaine in it, they'll go to the normal bottle because they're fulfilled.
Interesting.
So and once again, it's just everyone blames, it's the substance, it's this, it's sexuality. No, it's having purpose in life. If you have no purpose in life, you're going to look to fill it with something.
Yeah, you're damn right.
And that's where it leads to self-destructive behavior. But if you can have a fulfilled life, and it's not about money, once again, so it's not about wealth.
No,
it's about
absolutely not.
Finding something meaningful in your life, whatever that might take. Yeah, boredom. Yeah, boredom's sorry, Gabby, just chipping in there. Yeah, you're bored. You've no purpose. You've no drive. You rely on others to entertain you. You can't. Do you know why some people can't sit and just silent? They start freaking out and getting agitated. They're the type that that then go to substances because it just can't function.
Yep.
And then that becomes a crutch, and then that leads. It's all that kind of stuff.
If you can't spend time by yourself, you've got a problem. That's as far as
and that's not saying you shun people. It means be comfortable in yourself first, then you can appreciate others' company. But you can also, when things are maybe getting too much or you're not feeling right, you can step back and not feel like you're missing out. And it's the same as do something in your life that doesn't require getting wasted or rubbing your bits up against somebody else. Because that's where it stops being an indulgence and becomes a compulsion.
Yep, absolutely.
And that's
so I wonder if they would have ended up doing what they did if they were in our time now with all the devices and the technology we've got. If they were in front of screens, right, this would not have happened. I don't think.
I don't know because we see enough narcissists on the internet. They'd probably been part of count. They'd probably be around in a mob trying to get groups together. Pauline would have been the type that would join the groups. So we'll see it with social media with groups and little cliques that form. And I mean, that behavior doesn't go away.
Yeah, no, you're right. It just crossed my mind though. I was thinking if they weren't so bored, perhaps.
But were they bored? How can you be right? Sorry, I wasn't like. I'm just when you look at how the family was engaged. They weren't just sitting. They're involved with each other. They had hobbies. They had school. They were inventing stories. They had play. Because one of the problems with today's people is they don't do imaginative play. That's why there's people acting out in their like 30s and 40s now, like children, because they never played as kids. Yeah. And it's partly because they're sitting with a stupid screen and that's all they do. So they're like I said, they're sitting staring at that. They're not saw it with my ex-stepson, just like, no cognitive ability, don't know how to use like pencil and paper and draw.
Yes.
It's
Or how to? Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, I know. It just crossed my mind. That's all. To do with boredom, and I was just thinking, a lot of people head for the screens when they get bored. But you're right. They weren't. They didn't look like bored children, but their lives were full. I mean, Juliet was dressing up in princess clothes and running through the forest at 15
and playing with their brother even before
Yeah,
Pauline came into the scene.
yeah, exactly. So,
And we got the snippet of Pauline's family and how they interacted. So
yeah,
these were people with full lives for a
Yep.
point. The major broken part was Juliet's parents, the fact that they abandoned her, in fact, they seemed distant, didn't get the father's. There's something going on with the father because it seems like he wasn't like that. He became that.
Yeah.
Because of whatever was going on with his position.
Yeah.
And his motivation for moving these places was to put somewhere healthy for his daughter. So you don't do that. The mother, on the other hand, total bitch.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Yeah. What does it say about marriage counselors, huh? Oh dear.
Fun times. But there you go. We've been at this near 2 hours.
Holy shit.
And
we could go for another 2 hours.
Easily.
I tell you, this movie you gotta watch it. It's brilliant. Yeah.
So one of the questions we have asked at the start of this filmography is, how did Peter Jackson get Lord of the Rings? Now we're seeing it.
We're starting to see it. We are.
It's such a, you would think by the title and all, it was an understated throwaway movie. God, no. This is deep.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's still talked about today. That whole case and Heavenly Creatures, the movie, still talked about today. Yep.
There you go. Highly recommended. Definitely check this one. I didn't think this was one I was going to enjoy. I actually didn't know what I was going to think about it. Because I had no inkling.
Wow. And I would definitely say anybody can watch this film. Yeah, it's not going to traumatize anybody.
No. It's,
no trigger warnings for this either. Yeah.
Just if you think about it and the actual why it happened, that's what it'll make you think.
Yep.
Now, if you don't like thinking, that might traumatize you. Like our troll that came on last time, that she obviously doesn't like to think.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just so happy we'll have a troll now. It's great. We've made it.
Yay! But I don't think she's going to come back and troll anymore.
I hope she does. I do. Part of me hopes she does, because I just want to get stuck in. I know.
Oh. You're a bit of a narcissist. But I can see that.
on that note, though, this is a brilliant movie. Gabby made a great point there. It hasn't aged.
No, it hasn't aged. Not at all.
It's this goes under 10. You can watch this 10 years from now and still you not feel like anything's wrong with it.
No.
Brilliant storytelling. Makes you question everything. Characterization. Oh my god.
On point.
You can't. This is what you need. But when you don't have, you did have special effects, but characterization. It doesn't matter about special effects. The fucking characters is what leads the story.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Well, folks, we'll wrap up here before we go into a 3-hour flipping. I'll be like having to knock us off to go to work.
Yeah, I've got things to do, man.
Yeah, we've got stuff to do. Right? We haven't planned for it to go this long, but Dale, thanks again for coming on. Always wonderful. I'll look up what the next one is, but we're obviously going to carry on. A couple of weeks' time, we'll do the next one. Yeah. Thanks everyone for the chat. That was brilliant. Really good conversation we've had. As usual, we're going to do more again. Plenty of stuff coming up as always. So keep up to date with the channel. Do the typey clicky things. Until next time, keep it creepy. Keep it horrific.